So this is Words of Wisdom, and my name is Kim Seppala, and I'm here with Milan Sekulic. So, my passion for doing this show is to really tap into the inner knowingness and the inner wisdom. And that's something that I'm just very passionate about, and we have so much information coming from the outside. So this is just a time where I want to express myself freely, without limitations, from my heart. So, what about you, Milan?
Yeah, well, a while ago, before I started doing these shows on YouTube, um, a friend of mine actually invited me if I would like to do that. And before I said yes or no, I kind of had to feel into it for a while. And I asked myself, if I'm going to do this, then why? Why am I going to do this? And because it's not like I'm getting paid for it or anything. It's not like I have an agenda in the sense that I want to change people. But what kind of came up when I felt into it is for the joy of it. Like, can I allow myself to express freely without holding back? Because I feel throughout our lives, you know, that's something that's not very common. We like a lot of time we're not always like authentic with our expression, or we hold back, or we try to fit in. So we give accepted like answers, that will help us fit in. And I was just feeling into it, and it's like, well, you know what? How about I just kind of like start expressing myself authentically and freely and openly and without holding back. And when I felt like really into that, um, I felt such freedom, like I would liberate myself, or I would set myself free. So I think that's my main motivation. And I think both you and myself, we both have this message of empowerment, because that's something we're both very passionate about. And yeah, but that would be my motivation, to set myself free, and then for the joy of it, for the joy of expression, because it gives me a feeling of fulfillment. And yeah, that would be it.
Oh. And one of the topics that we were talking about earlier was mastery,
Yes.
self-mastery, and it's something that we're both very passionate about, and it's very much related to empowerment.
Yeah.
But what does self-mastery mean for you? What's your definition of it?
Yeah. Well, for me, mastery or mastery of self means taking ownership of your life. It means acknowledging the fact that you're the creator of your reality. So, when you can accept that fact, you cannot blame outside circumstances, other people, for the situations in your life anymore. It literally means taking back your power, realizing that you have choice, that you are the sovereign creator of your reality, that you're the one who has the ability to exercise his or her own free will and choose your own perspective, you know. So for me, mastery is all about taking ownership of your life, no longer being the victim, no longer giving your power away, but coming back to the center, to the truth, to the core of who you are, and start to live your life from that place. That for me is mastery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What does it mean for you?
Yeah, I have a very similar view. Um, yes, it's a lot about taking ownership, like you said, and that can mean so many things. Taking ownership of your feelings, choosing your own feelings. Like if what is yours, what's not yours, what have you just picked up from the environment?
Yes.
Um, Ownership of your thoughts. Do you just believe everything that is thrown at you, that the people around you say, that the media says, or do you just take ownership of those thoughts that you choose to take ownership of? It's taking ownership of your life instead of, letting just destiny create your life. You say, no, I'm the director. I'm the writer of my own life. I'm going to choose what I bring into my life, what I release out of my life. And it's making choices. It's being aware that every moment of your life is an opportunity to make a conscious choice. You know, if you don't like something, you change the direction.
Yes.
Um, so, what else? Yeah, it's just like you said, giving yourself the power back.
Yeah. For me, it's not only like, you know, like um, like external in the sense of the circumstances in your life, but it's also very much like you said, also like about how do you deal in a way with what's going on inside of you, like within you, like with the thoughts, with the emotions, with the
Mm-hmm.
feelings. You know, it's taking care of your own balance. Uh, it's making like really conscious choices about your perspective, because most people don't realize that they, you know, choose their perspective. But your
Mm-hmm.
perspective is so key because your perspective determines the way you experience this reality. You know, so when you realize that you have freedom to choose it and you start exercising that free will, you know, um, it has great strength, because where once you were a victim or once you were powerless, you can like turn it around and you can take back like ownership. You can take back, I don't want to say control, but like it means like you're the one who's in charge of your own life once again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's very much also for me how you deal with your feelings, with your emotions, with your thoughts, and like, you know, using discernment, like also like you said, like what feels good, what resonates, you know, and um, what doesn't serve me anymore. Do I have beliefs that are limiting me? Do I have thoughts that are not loving towards myself? Do I have thoughts that, you know, are causing me to be depressed? You know, um, so for me, mastery is like examining all these things. It's kind of going back to the core of things, and like even realizing that you have a choice in how you feel yourself. You have a
Mm-hmm.
choice in how you experience your reality, and you have a choice with the direction of your life. You can either live, you know, um, you can try to live up to the expectations that were set by others, you know, and you can be miserable because of it because you're trying to please everyone else, or you can go your own course. You can follow your heart. You can follow your passion.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's like very much mastery. And there's no blaming in mastery, you know, because that's like putting your power outside of yourself. And for me, it's like, no, you're taking it all back. It's like all like internal in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that reminded me of some other things. Like we are kind of brought up to think that we have certain personalities or characteristics that are kind of just set. You know, we are born with certain traits, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I think mastery is making a new choice and saying, you know, I'm free to choose who I am,
Yes.
um, and you can make the choice again every day.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the book that Adam Saint-Germain just wrote with Jeffrey Hoppy recently, Act of Consciousness, and about how we can choose what roles we play
Yeah.
in our lives, you know. And mastery is making that choice very conscious.
Yes.
Whatever roles you play, you do it out of your own choice.
Yeah. And that's funny because it kind of brings up like, you know, what came up for me is like a master doesn't allow his or her history to determine his or her present, you know?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Because for me, like, you know, it's also about, in a way, like healing the wounds of the past. It's like releasing the past and like integrating, um, for instance, traumatic experiences, like releasing limiting beliefs that we've occurred in childhood. You know, maybe somebody said something or did something that caused us ourselves to doubt ourselves where we never did that before. You know, and all of a sudden we have a lack of confidence. You know, we carry it with us our entire lives, and you know, at one point we start belief that this is us, like, this is part of our identity and we have a lack of confidence. But, master doesn't necessarily just accept that, It's like, whoa, wait a minute, where's this coming from? Is this actually serving me? Is this what I choose? No? Okay, maybe it's time to release it. Maybe it's time to heal that wound, Maybe it's time to release that belief and make a new choice,
Mm-hmm.
So that's like very like would be an example of like exercising your mastery, of taking charge, of choosing your perspective and the act,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that leads to the next question: how does one achieve mastery?
Yeah. So the way I view it, mastery is not like a master. It's not like a title that's bestowed upon you by somebody or something external. I don't think there's like an angelic council that decides, okay, now you're a master. It's not like you're being ordained. For me, it's like very much a choice. It's a choice, It's a choice that only you can make. And whenever you make that choice, that's when mastery begins, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, um, in fact, it's very simple. It doesn't require like many lifetimes of studying. It doesn't require reading a lot of books. It really is as simple as making a choice. It's like, look, I'm no longer going to give my power away. I'm going to take ownership and responsibility for my life. And I'm going to start doing that right now. So it's about, in a way, changing your perspective and making like a new choice of how you want to experience life. And then it's also like Saint-Germain wrote in that book, like it's like very much like an act of consciousness. You said, start acting it, and you will start to attract, the energies, the circumstances, the people, the awareness, everything. But it all starts with that choice, and the choice basically is like, you know, like taking back responsibility or ownership. Like, I am the creator of my reality. So, you know, anything you do not like, there's no point in judging it. There's no point in feeling bad about it. There's no point in feeling bad, about yourself. Um, it's realizing like, oh, wait a minute. If I am in fact the creator of my reality, if I do not like the way I'm experiencing life right now, if I do not like how I view myself, if I don't like anything, I can make a new choice. It's as simple as that. I can make a choice, new choice right now. And that's how one steps into his or her mastery. And it's like learning to walk. It takes a little bit of practice because, like, the old conditioning is strong. And if you're not used to that perspective of like, oh, I'm the owner, maybe you're still gonna fall back and blaming others or circumstances or feeling powerless. So I feel it's very much an unfolding. It's like a journey. Like every journey starts with the first step. You know, and I feel it's very important that we're not judgmental with ourselves, but that we give ourselves time to grow, that we give ourselves time to learn how to walk. If you observe an infant who's learning how to walk, each time they fall, they're not getting angry with themselves, they're not judging themselves, they're not blaming themselves. They just get up and and they walk again. And that's how we learn. But the main thing is it kind of like begins with the choice, and then it's just about taking it one step at a time, one breath at a time, and allowing the unfolding. You know, and I guess it takes a bit of persistence and determination because it isn't always easy. You will be challenged to the very core of your being if you choose to start living as a master, because it means all your fears will come up, all your insecurities. It means you will have to examine all your beliefs. All your imbalances will surface. So, it's quite unfolding. But the main thing is like it's available for everyone. It's not just for this exclusive club. It's like available for whoever chooses mastery. They can choose it like right now, like in this very moment. I don't care who you are, where you are, what your history is, how old you are, if you're like smart or if you believe you're not so smart, if you went to school or not. Like, none of these things matter.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. It's all about making that conscious choice. Like, I choose to step into my mastery now. So, yeah, I guess that would be the short answer. Right? How do you see it?
Yeah. Yeah, I liked your metaphor of learning how to walk because
Yeah.
it does indeed take some persistence, and at the same time, it's extremely simple. Like you mentioned, it's not about understanding, about analyzing all aspects, of yourself, how this mastery works. It's really as simple as making the conscious choice,
Yeah.
over and over again.
Yeah.
Um, and what usually happens when you make that choice very clearly, first, all the aspects in your life that are not aligned with this choice show up. So the first thing that you see after you have made this choice is the opposite. What is not yet um, in accordance with that self-mastery. So all of these things will show up, and
Yeah.
that's the time to take that deep breath and just persist.
Yeah. I think that's a very important point. Like, I don't people realize that, you know. Um, but like it's that's like with choices in general, right? When we make like a really passionate choice, then in a way it's already there because linear time, is in a way it's an illusion. So the moment we make the choice, it's like already there. But then, like in this reality, that's when the unfolding begins. So
Mm-hmm.
everything was standing between us and the realization of that choice starts to come up one by one.
Mm-hmm.
And usually it's like, yeah, everything that's keeping you from experiencing that new choice will show up in your first. So like that's not the time to give up. That's not the time to feel like you failed. That's actually it really helps when you have that perspective of what's actually going on and you realize it's like, oh, okay, these are just the obstacles that I need to overcome to come to this to the experience of my choice. And then in a way you can celebrate each time something arises because like, oh, now it's here and I can look at it and now I can in a way release it, so that you're like a little bit closer again to experiencing your choice. So yeah, that's like a very powerful point.
Yeah. Mm.
Did you have anything else you would like to add?
Yeah, it's like freedom. It's nobody can give it to you unless you choose it yourself.
Yeah.
So it really has to come from within.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
So why is mastery important?
Mm. Well, I can answer why it's important for me
Yeah.
personally, and I'm indeed very, very passionate about this uh, subject. And for me, it's really the doorway to freedom and to self-realization. It's going past the limitations, like society teaches us. You have all these limitations. You have to do this or that, or otherwise, you won't survive, or all of these rules. And it's going beyond that, just saying, no, you know what? I choose to go beyond these limitations. I choose to be whoever I choose to be in every moment, and just allowing myself to realize all of who I am. So it's very connected to this concept of self-realization and freedom.
Yeah.
Mm. And what about you? Why is it important?
Well, for me, it's important um, because it means I am no longer like a victim to circumstances in my life.
Mm.
It means like I'm not subject to the whims of life and whatever places on my path. I don't feel powerless or like I don't have any influence. Um, it's very much like people often complain about their lives or how they feel or their circumstances, and you know I guess that's a way to experience life. But at one point I realized, like, wait a minute, if I don't like something, I can change it. I can change it. I do not just have to accept it. I am not um, like powerless in a way, to use that word. But I can actually like determine the own course of my life. I can um, like choose how I perceive things. I realized at one point that your perspective is really, really important. I say that quite often. But that's because I realized how important your perspective is,
Mm-hmm.
because literally your perspective determines your experience. So if I'm unhappy, yeah, let's say like something happens to me, I break my leg or something, and then I can be like, oh, like feeling sorry and miserable, and like, oh, why did this happen to me, poor me, blah blah blah, or I can choose to change my perspective, and it's like, okay, well, it happened, so I guess somehow it must be serving me because I created this, right? So then
Mm-hmm.
it's more about looking, how does it serve me, you know maybe maybe at the point in my life, and this is like a very personal example, I made a vow that I would always be strong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe I've been through some abuse and that was my way of dealing with it. So if I break my leg, all of a sudden I can't be strong anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens now? That was my defense mechanism my entire life. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's time for some growth. Maybe it's time to release this, you know, coping mechanism of being strong. Maybe it's about looking at those childhood wounds. So then it becomes about personal growth, and then it's actually like, oh, there's gifts in this. There's gifts in breaking my leg. It's like almost like a pause, like a standstill, and a time to reflect and go within and heal some old wounds. And the leg will heal again, and you will walk again, and you know. So it's not like when you choose mastery, like everything is going to be perfect, all of a sudden. That's not the truth. That's like but it's about everything that's standing between you and the way, between you and really realizing that choice is going to come up. So all these imbalances, all these fears, all these coping mechanisms, they will come up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's actually great beauty in that. So when you have that perspective and you can see how things are serving you, you are no longer the victim. It's like, oh, I created this because of that. So that's like how you can see that things serve you, and that changes the whole experience. Then you can actually be grateful. Sounds silly, right? Being grateful for a broken leg, but guess what? When you see how it serves you, you can be grateful, and you're no longer stuck in that victim role. Maybe you're no longer so angry or frustrated, but you just embrace this time for yourself. It's like, okay, maybe I need to learn how people, uh, maybe I need to learn how I can allow that people or energies serve me. What better time than now, where I can't do everything I would normally do. So I guess I need a little bit of help now. Maybe I had like an issue with accepting help from others. So what better time than this to practice? You know, because that's another thing about mastery. Like, it's about allowing energies to serve you,
Mm-hmm.
and a master allows energies to serve them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very interesting concept. Why should the energy serve you, for example? And I mean, I, I think maybe some people feel some resistance towards this idea of
Yeah.
being served by energies.
Yeah. So like, for a lot of people who have issue with being served, like this stems from a worthiness issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like not feeling worthy of being served. But at the same time, it's not about being worthy or not. It's about dynamics of energy, of how energies work. So,
Mm-hmm.
like when you start to accept the fact that you're a master, part of that is like realizing that you are the creator of your reality. So we all have this creator essence within us. We create this reality like 24/7, whether we are aware of it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't take more effort to create like a set of circumstances than another. It's like we're the dreamers of our own dream. We're the dreamers of this reality. We literally dream every moment of this reality into existence,
Mm-hmm.
right? So um, and if you break down who we are, we are not our bodies, we are not our minds, we are not our identities or our thoughts. If you kind of like strip everything away, like, and you even like take away all the surroundings and everything, and in the end, the only thing that's left is awareness, just pure
Mm-hmm.
awareness. So in a way, like you are the observer. You're the
Mm-hmm.
observer, and that's like the core of who you are. That's the I exist, and you are not a being of energy. Energy actually responds to awareness. Energy responds to it. So, in a way, energies like always serve you, whether you're aware of it or not. The difference between a person, like a master and somebody who's not aware that, of how these dynamics work, is that like a master allows energies to serve them consciously,
Yeah. It's a very important distinction, and it's important to realize that everybody is a creator of their reality. Some people are more conscious of it than others, but
Yeah,
everybody's doing it, every moment of the day.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And a master does it very consciously,
Mm-hmm.
makes very conscious choices, chooses very consciously their perspective, and does allow energies to serve him or her. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
So maybe next question
Mm-hmm.
is mastery for everyone?
That's an interesting question, and um, from my perspective, it's for everybody who chooses it.
Yeah.
It's not something that you can even teach others, and I don't see the point why you would want it for somebody who doesn't, want it for themselves. So it's a very personal process.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, but let's say, there are some advantages for perhaps not choosing it, which is like, because once you choose mastery, you have to take responsibility for everything that's in your life. Maybe you have gone through some abuse, and it's in a way much easier to see yourself as a victim
Yeah.
um, than to face that, okay, on some level, maybe very unconsciously, but on some level you did create this experience for you.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it can be very uncomfortable to step into this mastery.
Yes.
But the funny thing is, once you do step into this mastery, all of your perspectives shift. So even these experiences that may have been really hard for you, like abuse, for example, then you at some point realize that these are just experiences. They don't define who you are. They don't, you know, just because you were treated as if you had no worth, it doesn't tell anything about the truth of who you are.
Yes.
Experiences are just things that pass through you, but they are not you.
Yes.
So, um, yeah. And so, do you have anything to add to that about for who mastery is?
Yeah, like I agree very much with you. It's like for whoever chooses it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like it's a funny thing. It's like with freedom. Everybody says they want freedom, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you have freedom, it also means like responsibility.
Yeah.
It means very much taking responsibility for your life, for your acts. It's not like anyone else is telling you what to do anymore. It's not like anyone else is telling you what to think or how to feel. So it kind of takes away the ability to blame others.
Yeah.
It kind of takes away the ability to blame the past. It
Mm-hmm.
kind of takes away the ability to blame circumstances, right? So a lot of people find great comfort in blaming um, external things, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
circumstances, people, the past, whatever, because it means they don't have to take ownership. They don't have to take responsibility. This is something you know they fear on some level. And so I don't feel mastery is for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I feel it's only for the brave ones who are like truly ready for it and choose it like with passion.
Mm-hmm.
Because it means, like you said, everything will come up.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
everything like that you haven't been willing to look at before. You know, uh, every everything where you maybe look at yourself as less than. You know, um,
Mm-hmm.
all the fears, all the insecurities, all the imbalances, all the beliefs that are limiting,
Mm-hmm.
everything will come up. And it takes like, in a way, a lot of determination and persistence to be willing even to deal with all of that. because it's not easy. It's much easier to live a very unconscious life, you know, to be like unhappy and miserable with the things in your life. But at least you can blame somebody. It's like, yeah,
Mhm.
it's my parents' fault because they didn't raise me in the right way. Or maybe, I had an accident as a child and because of that, I can't do certain things. Or,
Mhm.
um, I don't have enough money, so I can't live the life I dream of, or it's my wife's fault or my husband's fault, because they don't give me freedom. So it's like so much easier to blame everyone and everything and live like a relatively unconscious life. And that's the payoff. There's like a certain comfort in that. It's
Mhm.
easy. I'm not saying like it's easy, and it's also like familiar, because you know what tomorrow will bring. You know,
Mhm.
you know what tomorrow will bring. Life becomes very predictable, and there's like a certain safety in that, a certain safety and a certain comfort, and
Yeah.
it's almost hypnotic to live in that way. But yet again, that's the reality. That's how most people live. So mastery, even if it's simple in the sense of the truth or the core of it is like taking back ownership of your life,
Mhm.
it has quite a lot of consequences.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of things to look at, and it requires your your focus and your attention, because now all of a sudden you're like in the driver's seat. You're steering the car. You're determining where you're going in your life, and
Mhm.
mm, so everything something arises, like it requires like a certain awareness, like and every now and moment it's like, oh, is this something I actually consciously choose, or is this like an old belief, you know that I still carry with me? And um is it like an aspect, like a facet of my being, maybe that has like a certain belief that's influencing me, you know am I allowing others to influence me? Or it requires like a certain like vigilance, where you're like really aware of your own feelings, of your own knowingness, your own passion, and then it requires actually like a lot of courage to like follow that, and to go your own path, because sometimes it means going against the grain, and maybe your family isn't too happy about that, maybe your partner isn't too happy about that, maybe your friends aren't too happy about that when you just embark on your path, so you're going to be met with resistance, resistance from within and resistance from without. So
Mhm.
no, I don't think it's for everyone. I think it takes a very special person, who's actually ready to pursue the path of mastery. That's why I think there's not a lot of masters. That's very simple, right?
Yeah. I agree. Courage is really a key word in that. And I see it's almost like you give up all of the external safety. Um, and then you gain the internal safety. You gain that you start feeling very safe within yourself. But first, you have to release and let go of all these safety structures that were holding you in the old belief systems and in the old life.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah,
Mm. And we also mentioned power uh, earlier, and you said that it's kind of the opposite of being powerless. But what is the relationship between power and mastery?
yeah. So like words are interesting, right? Because it all depends on how you define like a certain word. So for me, mastery and power aren't necessarily the same thing. I do talk in terms of taking back your power, because it's like a concept people understand. But for me, like mastery isn't like exercising power, because actually mastery in its purest form is without any power. Because for me, power very much means like using force, and if you like using your power to manipulate or control others or to get certain things done, um, you're always kind of using force, and in a way, you're using like manipulation, and it's very different from mastery, because like a master like doesn't make choices for other people.
Mm-hmm.
You only choose for yourself. You cannot choose for others. That's like a very unloving thing to do. It's almost like a form of black magic. So you only make choices like for yourself. And then a master doesn't use force because a master understands that they are the creator of their reality. So they almost operate above this 3D level. So on this
Mhm.
3D level, if you want to have something, you need to get something done, you extend a certain amount of force, and there's like action and reaction. So there's like an equal and opposite reaction on the other side.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
depending on the amount of force you use. So there's like a very 3D linear and also limited way to create your reality. And that's the only way most people understand how to create the reality. That's why they say, okay, you need to work very hard, because it's the only way you're ever going to get something. And
Mhm.
I guess if you live life looking through those glasses, if that's your perspective, then that's your truth. That's the reality you create.
Mhm.
But like, if you step into your own mastery and you realize, wait a minute, I am the creator of my reality, right? And you understand like these dynamics of how they work. It's like, oh, I can just make a choice, from this creator level, like from this level where you are the dreamer, you're the dreamer of the dream, you're the dreamer of this reality, right? So then, if you make a conscious choice, and you set forth that passion, because energy responds to our passion,
Mhm.
then like energy can in a way come in to serve you, and all you have to do is like allow. All you have to do is allow. There's no force in allowing, and it's a very different dynamic. But that's how
Mhm.
the master creates their reality. So life in a way becomes effortless. It's not about efforting through life anymore. It's not about forcing things. It's not about doing things because you will get like a certain reward at the end of it. It's very much about allowing your passion, about following your heart, about listening to your intuition and knowingness,
Mhm.
and allowing this flow, and then it's almost like things start to come to you magically. You attract the right people, you attract the right circumstances, all these synchronicities start happening. Your life becomes like very synchronous. It's almost like a constant flow of synchronicity that's kind of just emanating from within the core of you. And so it really shifts the dynamics of how life works for you, you know.
Mhm.
So for me, that is not power. That's Power is
Mhm.
3D, is linear, is limited. Mastery is not. Mastery is very multidimensional. It's not limited, and there's no force or manipulation. So the true master in this highest form or expression is without power. The true
Mhm.
master just allows their passion, and it's this radiance that starts to emanate from the core of who you are when you realize your own um, awareness, when you realize your own I exist. It shifts the dynamics. It shifts the dynamics when you're like looking through the eyes of the creator and no longer through the eyes of the limited human that can only see the 3D reality. But you know then all you have to do is like allow, and things will come to you, and it's a very different dynamic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, the main distinction between those is that power is between people or between things, and
Yeah.
mastery is very personal. It's you choose it for yourself. It has nothing to do with other people, how you expect them to behave, with how you expect outcomes to be. It's even like if you have a project, like let's say a creative project, and like a master doesn't expect it to have a specific outcome, at a specific time in lots of detail. I mean, it's okay if that's how you want to do your projects, but I see it's more like you just release all those agendas and expectations,
Yeah.
and whether it's about other people or even project situations, you just release that because it's so personal,
Yeah.
and that power and force is replaced by choice and trust. It's all about that. You make a choice, and because you're a master, you trust that that's how it's going to be.
Yes.
And if you don't like it, you make a different choice,
Yes.
and you just allow things to be. You allow everybody to be exactly as they are.
Yeah. Yes, and there comes a point where you even go beyond trust, where trust is replaced by knowingness. You
Mm-hmm.
know, because like the more you start to integrate of your own awareness, the more you start to look through the eyes of the creator versus the limited human, the more that starts to come in. It awakens like this divine consciousness, you know, this awareness that's beyond the mind, where you have like pure knowingness, you know. um, yeah, some people I guess call it intuition, which I guess is like an expression of it, right? But it's this very pure state of knowing that's not limited in a way by thoughts. It's far more expanded, you know. And then there comes a point where you don't need trust anymore, where you just know. You know things will unfold because you can see it, you can feel it, you can feel your own creation, you can feel your own dream, you know? Because like not only are you like the one who's experiencing the dream from within, you're also the one who's dreaming it.
Mm-hmm.
So there comes a point where you know you don't even need to rely on trust anymore. It's almost like trust is like an intermediary, but then you just kind of like know. There's like this knowingness, and yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe this would be like a good time to do some breathing with our audience, all the people,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe invite like a more personal experience for the ones who are ready to step into their own mastery. So
Yeah.
yeah, for everyone at home who's watching this or listening, I would invite you now to get very comfortable, to relax, to make sure you have some time and space for yourself where you will not be bothered. And I would even invite you to close your eyes and allow yourself to take a deep breath, breathing in through the nose, all the way down to your belly, and also breathing out to your nose. Not forcing anything, but just kind of allowing the natural rhythm of your body, this natural breath. Our breath is a very interesting thing, for it can function as a bridge between human and divine, between the dreamer and the one that is dreamed. It can allow you to connect with the deeper part of yourself. So just allow this breath to flow freely. Allow it to effortlessly bring you to this deeper place within you. Almost like you're sitting in a boat and you're just allowing the stream to carry you away. Not having to steer it, just allowing. And allowing whatever is there in the moment. If there's thoughts, you don't have to pay attention to them. Just allow them to be. And I would really invite you to become aware of your feelings, to become aware of yourself on a more core level. Allowing this breath to take you deeply within yourself. Very gently, very effortlessly, breath by breath, simply allowing yourself to surrender to yourself. You're not surrendering to anyone outside of yourself. You're not surrendering to me. It's about you surrendering to your soul or to this deeper essence within you. It can be very gentle, very relaxing. You can just release all your daily concerns and your thoughts, and you just kind of forget about all those for a moment, but you allow yourself to go to a deeper truth of who you are, a deeper layer of experience that's very much feeling based, where there aren't so many thoughts, but where there's this stillness within you. So allow your breath to very gently guide you there, breath by breath, relaxing and surrendering more and more. And now, dear ones, for the one who choose, for the one who resonated with the topic of today, of mastery, know that this mastery is very much available to you. It's available to you right now. It's available to you in every now moment, whether it is now or later, it doesn't matter. But if you so choose, dear one, Imagine it as if there's this beautiful portal in front of you. This is the portal of mastery. It's a new awareness. It's another act, one where you're no longer just the limited human, but the one where you're also the dreamer of your own dream, the painter of your own painting, the composer of your own masterpiece. It is a choice, dear one, and it starts in this now moment if you so choose. You can walk through that portal. You can walk into a new life with a new experience, a new perspective, a new beginning. And you can allow yourself to feel into it, for it does have consequences. It does mean taking responsibility. It does mean taking ownership. And it doesn't mean it will be easy, even though the choice is simple. It does mean at one point you will be confronted with all your fears, with all your insecurities, with your history, with all imbalances and doubts. But that doesn't necessarily have to stop you, because it's not like it's gonna come all at once. Everything will be there when it's appropriate. You will never get more than you can handle. So feel into this and be very honest with yourself. Feel if you're ready to make this choice now, or if it's maybe something for the future. But if you are ready, if you feel that this is for you, then dear one, I invite you to make this choice with great passion, with great courage, and with great determination. Step into that portal, or through that portal, and come out the other side like a master. For a master is not a title that's bestowed upon you. It's a title you can only bestow upon yourself. And so it is, dear ones. And so it is. Allow yourself to continue to breathe, gently allowing the breath to come in and come out. And start to become aware of your body, how it's resting on the surface where you're sitting on or laying on. Feel how you're being carried, how your body is supported. And slowly start to come back to this reality where you start to become aware of your surroundings again, first energetically, then by moving your body, feeling the chair or the bed or the couch, wherever you are. And slowly, if and when you're ready, you can open up your eyes again.
Thank you, Milan.
You're welcome.
And thank you for the audience for joining us today.
Yes. Till the next time. Ciao.